Hi, guys. This is a conversation on taglines. We're going to keep it really short because I'm pretty sure you know what it is, right? So, because you're worth it is a tagline. Imagination at work is a tagline. Life's good is a tagline. Your potential, our passion is a timeline. Just do it is a tagline. Think different is a tagline. I mean, it goes on. And you're familiar with a lot of these brands, and you know what it is, right? So, it is. Something that you see with the company's name and logo. Most often it's about a phrase long, but sometimes it can be pretty long, 1 to 3 sentences. Sometimes I've seen longer ones, but I would say stick to a tagline that is short. And then something to remember is what it actually does for you, right? So for your brand, it will sort of reinforce the unique selling proposition of your brand. It shows a little bit of personality and it differentiates it from its competitors. So when you look at some of these particular ads, these logos and the taglines, using because it's worth it. That's clearly the unique selling proposition of L'Oreal. Think different is definitely the unique selling proposition of Apple. It also shows brand personality. And then, of course, it differentiates, some of the brands from their competitors. Walmart talks about saving money. Definitely something, that Walmart talks about that differentiates it from a Target or some other company. The ultimate driving machine, definitely differentiates the company from other similar brands and shows personality as well. Okay, so there are different types of taglines, and so I just want to just share some of them with you. Hopefully, when you're creating your own ads, if you think about some of the stuff. So let's look at this first one. This is Walmart. This was their older versus their newer positioning. Um, just a change in design. Most of the idea stays the same. So this particular one is clearly a claim, a strong claim, and you have to have strength in that claim. It has to be factual and objective for you to actually claim something like this. But what it's telling you is, our company delivers, and our claim is true, right? So that's really important. If the company's not able to deliver something specific like this, um, then there's no point of creating a tagline like that. Okay, always low prices. That is absolutely what Walmart is all about. Okay, let's go to the next one. There are taglines that specifically show benefits. Okay, so what can you do for the customer? What can your brand do for the customer? Okay, so the selling point here cannot obviously always be unique, and that's okay, but it should motivate your customers to buy your product. Okay, and this kind of tagline works really well for smaller companies. Um, Boots is a pharmacy out of Europe. Dell, is the computer brand that actually allows you to assemble your own computer. Feel better, look better. That's kind of a Boots thing. Shows the benefits there. Dell, power to do more, which is exactly how that company works. Okay. Number 3, you could have a tagline that can showcase your company. Okay. Now, as you see, this is actually not so much about a specific product, but it's about the brand itself, and talks about the core values and the attitudes, the main goals, or just a factual kind of statement about the brand. Okay, so think different obviously implies that the company is encouraging you to think outside the box, and they themselves are doing that. Okay, Nike absolutely reflects, the company and the customer's attitude. Um, so showcasing the company sometimes, that's what the idea of that tagline could be as well. Okay, the next one there is questioning the audience. Of course, we know about Verizon. Can you hear me now? Posing a question to the reader, and the answer to the question is usually what the company can provide. Okay, so that's kind of what you're seeing here. Now, it can get a little risky, so be careful if you want to do something like this. If your question is a little bit abstract, then audience might not immediately get what you're trying to say. Um, and then, nobody really wants to spend the time to decode a riddle, right? So be careful what you use in there. This is unique selling proposition of Verizon is absolutely to say that you can hear, your phone, like you can hear us anywhere, our service is everywhere. And they're using customer's voice to sort of highlight that. Okay, so that kind of works nicely, but it can be tricky, so watch out. Okay, the next one there is revealing customers' emotions. Now you know about McDonald's, you know, explains why people continue to use McDonald's or eat at McDonald's, even though it's a little unhealthy, but they're loving it. I mean, that's absolutely an emotion that they're sharing there. Um, L'Oreal absolutely talks about self-worth. It's a brand for women if you don't know it. And it has makeup and all sorts of other skincare products. Now, what you're doing here is you are trying to invoke the customer's feelings, and it's very customer oriented, right? This kind of branding for the tagline. Okay, the next one. Oh, I think we're done here. So let's talk a little bit about working tagline. Okay, so this basically means that you're not going to have a ready to go tagline right away. Okay, so you have to work with it, and then um, eventually it will work. I mean, make sure that the thought of where you want to go with the idea is there in your working tagline. Make sure that it's a single idea. That's extremely important. And then, when I create my taglines, and I have because I've had multiple companies, I tend to kind of just write down a bunch of them. It's not always one. For me, it's more than one. And then eventually it helps me sort of define an idea. Okay. And then I would pick the one that works the best. But remember, I mean, it's a working tagline, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it will help you narrow down the idea to a single idea and choose that idea for the final one. Okay. So your final idea, obviously, is the final tagline is a tweaked up version, right? It's your final version of something that you've been tweaking and getting it ready. Now, like I said, most taglines are a phrase, like 4, 5, 6 words, 10, 7, 8 words. But Mastercard, as you can see, is much longer. And honestly, it still works. Okay, it works. So just as something to remember, that even though it's a long line with MasterCard, I mean, it's hard to improve on that line. I mean, it's just perfectly written, okay? But it definitely is the center of gravity for the campaign. Try to, keep it catchy and short. Um, you know, it should just mean something, right? So it should be important in the way that it actually just means something. All right. So, just as you start to create those taglines, think about, create a working one, work with it, and finalize one. Okay. There are a couple other things that I should talk to you about. This particular one says the product name in the tagline. So, can you have a product name in the tagline? Absolutely. Um, the future's bright, the future's orange, have a break, have a Kit Kat. So, some of this stuff is out of Europe. Have you met Life today? Or obviously, we're talking about MetLife, the company. The one only Wonder Bra. Wonder Bra is the brand name. This Buds for you, Buds from Bud Light, right? And everywhere you can go, you can be sure of Shell is actually a true. This is an ad, some really really old ad of the gas station, the gas company. Okay, so what we're seeing here is the product name is actually being used in the tagline, and that's okay. You can do that too, as long as it works for you. Okay. Um, can you have taglines that can rhyme? Yes. Um, Little cheesy if you ask me, but beans means Heinz. I know it doesn't rhyme, but has a Z's in the end. See the USA in your Chevrolet. I mean, again, they rhyme, and it works. I mean, it's worked for Heinz for a long time. Clearly, they were celebrating their 50th year, and this is not this year, so probably a few years ago. Okay. There are taglines that ask questions. Yes, you can do that. We talked about Verizon. And then there are others too, right? So there's, are you a Cadbury fruit and nut case? I mean, it kind of works because it's kind of, it's funny. It's a little bit of humor. Where's the beef? Where do you want to go today? Does she or doesn't she? It's about coloring her hair, got milk, right? All of these are questions as part of taglines. That's okay. If you're able to do it and do it well, then go for it. Okay, would you put a period in the middle of a tagline? Okay, that's another thing you should think about. So look at the two that you see here: Marines, the few, the proud; Sony, like no other. Okay, some of you may say it works, some of you may say it doesn't work. It's a personal preference here, but I would say the few and the proud, Marines ad works for me because there's strength in the way that's been written. Um, and then, like no other, I have a mixed opinion about that. Some people say you won't like any other one. Some people say, it actually means it is the best, right? Like no other. Anyway, so they have used periods in here. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And for me personally, I think the Marine one works, the Sony one not so much. But I know that there might be some of you who think Sony it looks fantastic just the way it is right now. So again, mixed opinions, but yes, you can use periods in your taglines. And then there are taglines that go like, yeah, yeah, like this one. Yeah, we got that. Yeah, just do it versus just do it, right? So personally, I think it's a filler word, the yeah thing, and you don't need it there. I would just go with just do it, and that's probably the way you should think about it too. Get the fillers out because it's just cheesy and just weird. Okay. Um, do taglines need to be at the very end? And this is an interesting question. My answer to you is no. So you see this particular old ad, right, that we saw during the history of advertising. We try harder right up in the top. Okay. Um, it's a popular positioning. It is their tagline, but they have it right up in the front. Okay. And so, again, mostly in print ads, you would see it at the bottom next to the logo, maybe bottom left, bottom right, something like that. You don't see that here. And so it's okay, to play around with it. You see Avis playing around with it, many, many years ago. So if you think it works a different way than it does, and there's no right way to do something, okay, you be creative. And then the last one here is the world's favorite. You know, um, I will tell you, I'm just tired of, looking for the world's best pizza in Los Angeles because it's everywhere, right? You have big boards that say this is the world's best or this is LA's best or whatever, right? So this is what I'm talking about, the world best, world LA's best. Um, and you start to see those kinds of things coming up way decades ago. And this is British Airways with the favorite spelling. It's European, right? Because it's a UK based airline, and at one point they were actually the most used, most landing in most international locations per day. So there was some truth to it, and so if you have a brand that is like that, then go for it. Use the world's best. But if you're working for creating an ad for pizza parlor, and and they talk about how there's this the world's best pizza, I would say try not to use uh, that particular LA's best pizza because it's really cheesy. Okay, so I just wanted to share some very simple taglines. Different types of taglines, the functions of taglines. Um, and so hopefully, as you start to create yours, you would be a little bit more aware of what's out there, and be familiar with it, and then come up with amazing ones for yourself. Okay, thanks.